Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to start doing something a little bit different. No worry, the other content, the stitches are still going to be coming in, but I just wanted to add this to the mix. I'm not sure I want to call it crochet book club or book club because in this section I do want to review or talk about movies, series, episodes, just articles maybe. I don't know, like not necessarily just books, but I wanted to make this video or this like series of videos to like talk about mostly books. But I'm just going to call it Crochet Club. And in this new series that I'm gonna start. We're gonna start with Angela's Ashes. So I found this book. This is not my book. I found it. You guys know I have been cleaning up and decluttering my space, my house, and I'll link a video to that yarn stash and what I ended up keeping. And yes, I have been working on a lot of my scraps, and today I'm working on this one. This one I said it was going to be a beanie. Forget that. We're doing something else. So far, I've gotten up to chapter 2. But I think I'm just going to review chapter 1. I just want to talk about it. This is just something that you can put on and crochet along with me. I recently found out it has a movie. So I'm first going to read the book and then I'm going to watch the movie. And I guess we can do a video about that movie too. In chapter 1, his family is making their way back to Ireland. I know it sounds so weird because usually people come from Ireland to the States, but this time they're going from the States to Ireland. And in that process, Frankie tells us the event that led up to them leaving to Ireland. We get introduced to Malachi, who is the dad, Angela, the mom, Malachi Jr., who's the youngest brother, Frankie's the oldest. And then we get introduced to Eugene and Oliver, the twins, and Margaret, the baby sister. In this first chapter, and I'm just going to give you a quick history of all of the characters. Malachi is an alcoholic father, but he is presented to us as I want to say like quote unquote loving and present father. And I say that with very like lightly and like quotation marks because he's an alcoholic father, right? As present and as loving as they can be, I guess. And I say that because Frankie has memories of his dad telling him the story of Cuchulainn, who is it's a mythical Irish warrior. You do see Malachi hugging the kids and playing with them and being happy. When baby Margaret was born, he actually stopped drinking. So he was just over the moon. And Frankie does describe his dad as carrying her, hugging her, just being so happy when she was born. And he quit drinking. He is said to have an odd manner. In the chapter 1, they really don't describe it as anything physical, but it's mostly like when he's talking to people, he'll answer back. And it sometimes is like rhetorical questions and he'll answer them with like an honesty or like he's just trying to be likable, I guess. But he's that's the odd manner that they keep referencing. So I guess there's something not clicking, that they're rhetorical questions or that he's in trouble. So he'll just keep talking and answering. And we'll get to more on that later. Malachi served in the old IRA and they fought for Ireland's independence from Britain. So I guess you can add one more thing to the list, that he's very patriotic. I guess that's what I would call it. I don't know any other words to call it. When he gets really drunk, he'll start singing songs of old Ireland, or he'll come home at 2, 3 in the morning, wake the kids up and put them in a single file. And then he'll make them promise that they have to give their lives for Ireland and they'll get a nickel from him. Like Frankie says, I've never seen a nickel. So yeah, like it's questionable. It's very questionable. I'm not sure if I would call him patriotic. It's probably not the right word, or maybe it's a misguided patriotism. One thing is for sure though, he loves Ireland and he loves his kids. He'll drink his wages instead of taking it home to his kids. So like I said, it's very debatable. But when he is at home, when he is there are instances where he's hugging the kids, he's playing with the kids. He is trying to teach them the Irish values as much as he does have them. Because that's another point of contention. It reminds me so much of Willie from The Simpsons, where he's telling someone that the Scots hate the British and the Scots hate the Irish and the Scots hate other Scots. And it just so, it reminded me because throughout the first chapter, at the very least, I could see that there is some division between South Ireland and Northern Ireland. And that theme takes center stage when Malachi meets Angela. So Malachi is a lad from the north who gets in trouble with the Brits and the Irish. And when he talks about Malachi having a price on his head, I'm just going to read from there. When I was a child, I would look at my father, the thinning hair, the collapsing teeth, and wonder why anyone would give money for a head like that. When I was 13, my father's mother told me a secret. As a wee lad, your poor father was dropped on his head. It was an accident. He was never the same after. And you must remember that people dropped on their heads can be a bit peculiar. Because of the price on his head he had been dropped on, he had to be sprinted out of Ireland via cargo ship from Galway. In New York, with prohibition in full swing, he thought he had died and gone to hell for his sins. Then he discovered speakeasies, and he rejoiced. So it's just the way he writes, it's just so witty. And throughout the book, or at least throughout the very first 2 chapters that I've gotten to, he gets a chuckle out of me. That's Malachi in a nutshell. He then meets Angela, who is in America for other reasons. When Angela's mom was pregnant with her, their dad left them. He's in great form altogether, and he thinks he'll play a while with little Patrick, 1-year-old. Lovely little fella, loves his daddy, laughs when daddy throws him up in the air. Oopsie daisy, little Patty, oopsie daisy. Up in the air, in the dark, so dark. Oh, Jesus, you missed the child on the way down, and poor little Patrick lands on his head. Gurgles a bit, whimpers, goes quiet. Grandma heaves herself from the bed, heavy with the child in her belly, my mother. She's barely able to lift little Patrick from the floor. She moans a long moan over the child and turns on Grandpa. Get out of it. Out. If you stay here a minute longer, I'll take the hatchet to you, you drunken lunatic. By Jesus, I'll swing it at the end of the rope for you. Get out. Grandpa stands his ground like a man. I have a right, he says, to stay in me own home. She runs at him, and he melts before his whirling dervish with a damaged child in her arms and a healthy one steering inside. He stumbles from the house, up the lane, and he doesn't stop till he reaches Melbourne in Australia. The imagery, aside from horrible, in that moment when Grandpa tries to stand his ground and then he realizes, oh snap, this woman is going to snap me like a twig. I need to run. And he runs all the way to Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne is as far as you can get. And I'm sure he didn't make it to New Zealand or Tasmania because he probably drank the rest of his money and he was just stuck in Melbourne. But that's the story of how Grandma ends up being a single mom. And Angela, she learns to read and write and she goes to school, but according to her mom, she's useless. Eventually, when she gets old enough, she starts to get a job as a charwoman, or I guess you would call them like a maid with the little white hat opening doors. But she couldn't manage to do the little curtsy. Grandma tells her, you're useless, so I'm going to send you to America where they can sure definitely have some more useless people. And she gets shipped off to New York to her cousins, the McNamara sisters, Dahlia and Philomena. And there she meets Malachi. Malachi had just been in jail for 3 months, so he's coming out. He's very, very interested in being with a woman. And then he meets Angela. They have a one-night stand, and that is where Frankie is conceived. Once the McNamara sisters, find out that Angela is in a certain condition, they go and they look for Malachi, and they confront him. They tell him he needs to get married and that he needs to do it because he needs to be a good Catholic. Now, as soon as they find out that he is from the northern part of Ireland, it doesn't take them very long for them to belittle him and just say, oh my gosh, this is some kind of nasty man from the north. I can't believe Angela was so dumb to fall for this this man, and they belittle her for that life choice as well. So they end up getting married. McNamara sisters, they weren't happy that Angela got with him, and they gave her an ultimatum. Hey, don't have any more kids with this guy. He's bad news. Just stay at one, and you'll be able to have a better life that way. Don't fill yourself up with kids. And because Angela didn't listen, she ended up getting pregnant again. Her cousins wanted nothing to do with her, and they stopped talking to her. And that's when she has Malachi Jr. And things are just difficult because Malachi can't find a job, and the jobs that he is able to find, he drinks all his wages. Fast forward, and Angela is pregnant again, this time with twins, Oliver and Eugene. Things are very grim. The neglect that these kids are going through, I don't know if it's because Angela is just overwhelmed with all the kids that she has, or if it's the lack of money. Maybe it's Malachi coming home drunk, and maybe there is some kind of DV situation going on. I wouldn't put it past it, but the book doesn't specify. It only specifies that sometimes when dad comes home, Angela tells the kids to go down to the playground. And so for most of chapter 1, where Frankie describes them being in America, they spend a lot of time down at the playground by themselves. And it's just, at first, it was Frankie and Malachi. And then when the twins are born, all of them just down there. So I don't know if there's some kind of situation there, or Angela just, maybe she's depressed, maybe she has postpartum depression, because the kids are within 1 year of each other. So, as soon as she's done popping one out, she's, getting pregnant again. So there is that. Maybe her body, maybe her hormones are just out of place, and maybe that's why she just can't get past the postpartum depression. But it doesn't specify, it doesn't say anything in the book. We get to the point where she's pregnant a 4th time. Once baby Margaret is born, he says that it was a very good time because dad was working and he wasn't drinking anymore. So it's a good period in their family because the house is clean, mom is happy, mom is singing, and there is food on the table, dad is working, and he's just lovely as ever because he's with baby Margaret and things are running smoothly. But then something tragic happens. Baby Margaret passes. Angela is just distraught because she wanted a baby girl so bad. She had been wishing for a baby girl. And then when she finally has her, 7 weeks later, she's taken from her. After that, Angela just shuts down. She completely shuts down, and she starts neglecting her kids to the point where the twins, Oliver and Eugene, they're 1 year old and they're still wearing diapers, but they're walking around with diapers just soiled, almost naked. And Frankie is the only one that is essentially taking care of them. He doesn't know what to do. After Margaret passes, Malachi goes back to the pubs and he's back to his drunken self. And there is just, the situation in the house is very grim. Luckily, their neighbors took pity on them and they fed the kids. They really tried to help them out. But just Angela was just in bed the whole time. She really didn't want to get up. She didn't speak. She didn't say anything. And so eventually, Frankie does let some of the adults know that there are cousins of Angela's in New York and that there are other family members. So the McNamara sisters get called and they go and visit Angela, and they're just appalled at the stench, at the situation. They just can't believe it. They write a letter to Angela's mom telling her the situation and that it would be best if Angela and her family make their way back to Ireland. Because over here, the kids aren't looked after. Malachi is a bum. He's not working. He's being neglectful to his kids. He's just drinking. And Angela, she just can't snap out of it. So it's best if they go back home We don't want them here in New York. Grandma scents the fair. They are on their way to Ireland. So that's how chapter 1 ends. Please remember, I'm not a book critic. I am not an author. I don't have an English major. These books are made for readers, people like you and I, and people that just are interested in learning about other cultures, about other times. If you can enjoy it and you can laugh, I think this is the book for you. I would really love it if you join me for chapter 2, which will hopefully be up soon. And thank you for being here. Bye.